Hey, you think your favorite Pokemon has what it takes to be the best of the best? Well, you're wrong. Your favorite Pokemon may be strong, have perfect IVs and EVs, or even have an amazing cry, but does it have what it takes to become a contest master in the Sinnoh region? I made a video like this a little while ago where I took my trusty Swalot named Pokimane into the beauty contest and absolutely steamrolled the Hoenn region's contest scene with her. This time we're going to try the same thing but in the Sinnoh region where contests are a lot different than what we saw in the Hoenn region. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, look at these analytics or whatever, follow me on Twitter and Twitch which will be linked in the description. I plan on starting a Nuzlocke pretty soon on Twitch, and let's become the best coordinator in all of Sinnoh. So the first thing we have to do is load up my save of Pokemon Diamond that I used for the Nintendo series a couple of months ago and fly to Hearthome City. Unlike in Hoenn, there's only one contest hall in all of Sinnoh, and here you can take on all 4 ranks. The contest structure is very different in these games too, but luckily we have the option to practice each of the 3 different contest events. I decided to do this before focusing on which Pokemon and which contest category I want to run in, since I don't think I've ever participated in a contest in these games. I head to the contest hall and go straight to the practice counter so we can see what we have to do. The contests in these games are split into 3 different portions. I try and practice the dance portion first since it's the one that I'm the most interested in, and looking at my party we also have to pick which Pokemon we think would be the best dancer. Looking at my team, Kadabra or Infernape would probably be the best dancer since they both have arms and legs and are somewhat humanoid. With that in mind, I make the only logical choice and choose Whiscash for the dancer for the contest. The dance starts and I have no idea what I'm doing. I was expecting some sort of Dance Dance Revolution type minigame, but instead the instructions say to copy the Pokemon before you and choose the direction on the touchscreen. I thought I was doing it right at first, but I guess I was not doing it right, and as I exit the room the receptionist says, quote, "It's bad how things turned out," implying that I didn't do so well. I tried the appearance portion next, which basically just has you dress up Pokemon using those random accessories you got throughout the game, so I used my Dialga and made it look as ridiculous as possible. Pretty sure I got last here too, but then I entered the acting cool contest with Kaza the Kadabra, and I'm pretty sure I didn't get last for once. The acting portion is very similar to what contests were in Ruby and Sapphire, with some small changes like now you have to pick a specific judge to perform your attack to. With all of this in mind, I decided to enter the cool contest, and also because one of the prizes for the cool contest is this really cool top hat that I want to get. It isn't even the prize for the master rank too, only for the ultra prize, so we can actually use it if we make it to the master rank portion. Looking at the Pokemon I have though, none of them are even remotely ready to even win the normal rank cool contest, so you have to figure out first which Pokemon to use, what moves to give it, and also how to cook some Poffins to help boost its cool points. I didn't really have that many Pokemon to pick from, but I decided to make my Luxray, which was nicknamed Lady Thor. 2 of its 4 moves are already cool moves, and I noticed that Shockwave and Thunderbolt are both good moves it can learn for the cool contest, so I teach it Shockwave, then track down the Thunderbolt TM, which was behind Valley Windworks. After this, I realized that we're also going to need a cooler name for the cool contest, because that just makes sense, right? If you're in the cool contest, you need a cool name. In the Diamond as Nintendo intended video where I used this Luxray, people didn't seem to like the nickname that I gave it being Lady Thor too much, so I have to think of some other cool name that would fit a girl Luxray. Maybe we can name Luxray after some sort of cool Twitch streamer or even some athlete or something. I couldn't think of a good name at first, so I literally just googled cool Luxray nicknames and came across this random Tumblr post from 2015 that said Bolt was a cool name for Luxray, so I just named her Bolt. Next, we have to work on making Poffins to boost Bolt's cool stat even more. These work similarly to Pokeblocks in Hoenn, but they are a pain to make. I also realized that I didn't have too many berries, and getting enough berries to grow and make all of these Poffins to max my cool stat would take literal weeks, so I imported some berries from the Hoenn region, if you know what I mean, so I can finally begin making some Poffins. I already had a good Poffin that boosted all of my stats from a random NPC from earlier in the game, which helped a lot, but making Poffins was a lot harder than I thought and way harder than making Pokeblocks. They constantly burned or overflowed as you had to turn them on the pot as they were cooking, and for some reason I also had a much harder time turning the Poffins counterclockwise compared to just clockwise, which is where most of my burns came from. I eventually got the hang of it and made some decent Poffins, and after tiring out my arm for nearly an hour just spinning on the touchscreen, I was able to max out Bolt's coolness stat. Now, while looking on the Bulbapedia page about Pokemon contests in Diamond and Pearl, I also noticed that Scarf held items help in contests as well, so I go to Pastoria City and get the red scarf to boost my Luxray's coolness even more. And with all that out of the way, I literally spent more time just preparing for the contest than I thought would make this actual entire video. We can finally enter the first contest, the normal rank contest. As I enter, I get this cool tuxedo to put on as well, which I don't think I put on for the practice portion. Now, since this is the normal rank contest, I'm not expecting too much resistance from the other contestants. I mean, there's a Starly, a Shinx, and a Pikachu up against me, all of which would have way better luck in the cute contest because they're not exactly cool Pokemon anyway. The first category is the dress up portion, where we have 60 seconds to put on 5 accessories on our Pokemon, and as we progress through the ranks, we can put more accessories on them. To be honest, I have no idea how it works, but I make the most ridiculous looking Luxray as possible and somehow win this portion. Then there's the dance portion, which I finally figured out how to do properly about halfway in or so, but I end up winning that portion somehow as well, even though I messed up a lot. I think having max coolness and the red scarf is really carrying us throughout this rank. But then we have the final round of the contest, which is just like what the contests were in the Hoenn region, but this time we go for 4 attacks instead of 5, and we have to pick a specific judge every time we go for an attack, and you have to avoid going for the same judge as the person before you as much as you can. I have one generic good move in Spark that gives us 3 hearts, then Thunderbolt and Shockwave, which gives us extra hearts if we go first, and finally Roar is my 4th and final move, which makes it so Voltage, which are the stars above each judge that can give you bonus points, can't go down. I figure this is about the best moveset I could possibly come up with for my Luxray with what I have, and since Bolt can dominate the first 2 portions of the contest with very little effort and resistance, I'll almost always go first in the 3rd portion. I actually didn't even do super well in that portion though, hovering between 2nd and 3rd for most of it. However, once we got to the results screen, I won just because of how good I did in the dress up and the dance rounds. The results were still pretty close though, so I'll have to improve the dance and acting parts for later rounds if I want to win in the master rank. I also get an accessory for winning, which I'm guessing will be a good accessory for the cool contest. Now we have the Great Contest, which I'm expecting to be a little bit harder, especially since the normal one was still pretty close. As I begin the dress up portion, which has the theme of the Shapely, whatever that means, I have no idea, I also realize that we don't get to see the other Pokemon until after the dress up portion is already done. I make Bolt look as ridiculous as possible again, but this time with our new red ribbon item, and finally get to see the other contestants. First, there's Hoots the Hoot Hoot, which looks like it got lost on its way to the circus or something and somehow ended up in Hearthome. Then there's Chewy, another Pikachu, which has this weird 80s pop singer-like look to it after it got all dressed up. Better than Hoot Hoot for sure, but still a little weird, especially since there's just this random rock in front of it. So far, out of all of the opponents we've had in the contest, none of them seem particularly threatening or even cool, to be honest. But that all changed when I saw Cherry and the costume that Cherry had on. Cherry is a Cherubi, arguably one of the coolest Pokemon in all of existence, and it went with this weird weather theme which only made me more confused as to what the Shapely theme really meant for this. Then finally there's us with Bolt with just a bunch of random accessories on her, and somehow we still won. I still don't understand this portion at all. Now we can move on to the dance portion, which I feel pretty confident about. There really isn't anything too interesting over here since it's just a very simplified rhythm game basically, but we end up winning this portion as well in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. And finally we have the final acting portion, and since we got first, I use Shockwave for the extra bonus points. I figure that even if we get only 2nd or 3rd in this portion of the contest, winning the first 2 overall ranks should still take us to an easy victory. Surprisingly though, Hoots did pretty well in the 3rd with some weird moves, like Pecky giving it a lot of cool points for some reason, but he ends up screwing it up by going for the same move twice in a row, which the judges don't like. There's only 4 total rounds and 4 total moves you can go for on your Pokemon, so I don't understand how you go for the same move twice like that. I end up having a pretty solid final round though, mainly since everyone else choked, and end up having a much larger margin of victory this time around. I head straight back in and hammer away at the Ultra Contest, and look at the competition of Meditite, Bronzor, and Machop. I thought this would be easy. I think it's weird how they don't have evolved Pokemon yet this late into the contest ranks, but as usual I do very well in the dress up portion no matter how ridiculous I look, and then go on to the dance portion we have to go for 4 different moves instead of 3 in the previous 2 ranks, and I kept messing up here for some reason. I know that since I didn't sweep the first 2 portions, I would have to go all out in the acting portion and get at least 2nd place, but things start to go pretty rough. Dexter the Meditite goes first and uses Meditate on the same judge that I planned on picking while going 2nd, which hinders us a little bit. I ended up picking things up a little bit towards the end, but it was a little too late as it wasn't enough to win the 3rd rank of the contest, and it was enough to win the overall contest as we only got 2nd. I feel like I could do just a little bit better in the dance portion though, and if we do that, we should have this in the bag. I wasted no time and headed right back into the contest hall to preserve Bolt's honor as much as I can. I killed it in the dress up portion as usual by just spamming random items on top of Luxray, but I also noticed the competition this time around seems rather fierce. first, there's Kato the Machop dressed up and looking like it's about to smash a rock, which is definitely cool. Then there's Flash the Ponyta with all these fires and sparkles around it, make it look like a firework or something. After that, there's Malice the Mischievous with this ominous outfit, and just being named Malice is cool enough to make it a threat. Then there's me with this jumbled mess that somehow beats them all anyway. Onto the dance portion, I focus up harder this time around and tries to make as little mistakes as possible, and ends up working pretty well for us. Malice, which I thought would be a threat here, really fails this portion though because it has 2 left feet, or rather no feet at all I guess. We end up being the leaders heading into the final round, the acting portion, allowing us to start off with a strong Thunderbolt attack. We don't do so hot in this one though, finishing 3rd again, but the victory from the first 2 and our overall coolness is enough to let us win the Ultra Rank contest and get this really cool top hat that I really wanted, which was the only reason why I picked the cool contest in the first place. And now it's the moment we've all been waiting for, the Master Rank contest. I'm feeling pretty confident this time around, although I know this won't be an easy task to accomplish. I really want the Master Rank ribbon on Bolt, so now let's prove that my Bolt is cool and that we can become the best Master Coordinator in all of Sinnoh. For the dress up portion, I actually had to slap literally every single accessory I had onto Bolt, since this time we can put up to 20 accessories on it, but I only had 19, so we have a slight disadvantage there having one less item. Taking a look at the competitors though, we have Bumbles the Clefairy. I'm not really sure what they were going for with this theme in the dress up portion. I guess it's supposed to look like some sort of outdoorsy shot, and although it's way more coherent than anything I could put together, it still doesn't seem that great. Next we have Penny the Piplup, which just looks sick. Piplup looks like some sort of ice princess with all the blue feathers and the snowflakes everywhere, and I thought this one would win the round for sure. And then we have Chimpy the Chimchar with this big fire theme that isn't as impressive as the last one, but still pretty cool overall. And then there's us, with just every accessory I have available slapped onto it, including 3 different mustaches, 2 different masks, and the cool top hat we just got. We somehow end up in the lead after that though, probably thanks to the top hat. Going into the dance competition, it seems like the same as the Ultra Rank one, but I focus harder since I know that I can do really well in it, and if I do, I can afford to do pretty poorly in the 3rd and final round, and still have a very good chance to win. I end up doing slightly worse this time around though compared to the last time, but still somehow finish leading the pack and go first in the acting round. I start off with Thunderbolt of course, since it just has its bonus effect if it's first, and somehow Bumbles keeps getting ridiculous scores from the judges. At one point it even got a +8 bonus from the judges, which is more than I've seen any other bonuses in any other contest I have done before. Although Bumbles does have a poor start in the dress-up round, it's showing out to be a real threat now. Penny even has solid scores all around and finishes first a few times, while Chimpy struggles a bit and doesn't really impress too much. That brings the final Master Rank contest to a close, and to be honest, I have no idea if I'll win. While I did win the first 2 portions, I know it was still pretty close, and I didn't really have the best acting portion, which could bring us out of that first place slot. As the scores tally up, I am barely leading Penny after the visual competition scores, so it could easily pass us soon. After the dance scores come in, I get a little bit of an extra lead on Penny, however Bumbles and Chimpy really start to catch up here. The scores are super close, and since I didn't do the best in the acting part, I start getting a little nervous thinking I could lose. The acting part comes in and Bumbles clearly finishes in 4th place, while Chimpy is ahead for this, but really isn't that far off of 1st and 2nd. It looks like I am dead even with Penny here based on this bar. I even checked the pixel count of the photo to see, and both of us were exactly tied. I was ready to have to redo this thinking I would lose the tiebreaker, but luckily we end up winning the Master Rank Cool contest anyway, solidifying ourselves as the coolest Master Rank Pokemon Coordinator champions in all of the Sinnoh region, and that was quite the mouthful. Overall, these contests were much more in-depth than the ones in the Hoenn-based games, and I look forward to see what they do with contests in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl for the Switch if they bring them back. Now we can gaze at this beautiful ribbon that Bolt has, and I never have to make Poffins ever again, which is great. Now if you made it this far in the video, consider leaving a like, as one like helps the channel a ton, and subscribe for more Pokemon videos. I want to thank you all so much for watching, hope you have a great rest of your day, I'll see you all next time, and bye bye.